INEC reviews its operations in the 2023 general elections with a view to doing better in the off-cycle elections in November. Tackling insecurity remains a key objective of the Nigerian government as the Inspector General of Police visits troubled communities in Plateau State. Also on political update today, state government step up efforts to confront developments occasioned by the removal of fuel subsidy. I'm Fisayo Ogunfui. Welcome. Let's start by looking at having a review of some of the activities coming from the State House in the course of the week when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu made some appointments and, of course, some decisions that will shape his thoughts concerning his presidency.
The three African presidents were received on arrival by President Bola Tinubu at the presidential villa and went into a closed-door session. ECOWAS Commission President Umar Aliyu said the main thrust of the meeting is to take decision on the political and security situations in the West African sub-region.
The leaders have reviewed the political and the security situation in the sub-region of West Africa. Regarding the political situation in the sub-region, the leaders have reviewed the transition in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Guinea.
The leaders agreed to re-engage the three countries at the highest level, which will be led by the Benin Republic President, Patrice Talon. Meanwhile, former President Goodluck Jonathan has also briefed the President on the situation in Mali.
Because we have a lot of challenges in the sub-region, and those are the things we are discussing. We have the crisis in Mali, crisis in Guinea, crisis in Burkina Faso. I am really handling Mali, but still oversighting others. So we came to put our heads together. I'm also the chair of the ECOWAS Council of the Wise.
The service chiefs confirmed at the Committee of the Whole are Major General Christopher Musa, Chief of Defense Staff, Major General Biodun Lagbaja, Chief of Army Staff, Rear Admiral Emmanuel Ugala, Chief of Naval Staff, and Air Vice Marshal Hassan Abubakar, Chief of Air Staff.
That the House will consider the report of the ad hoc committee on the screening of nominees for appointment as Chief of Defense Staff and Service Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. So we say number one recommendation is carried. Number one recommendation carried.
The House resolves to constitute an ad hoc committee to investigate frequent hike in pump price of petrol and report back for further legislative action.
We're expecting a hike in price of food in the coming days because the price of fuel affects the price of everything in the market. Mr. Speaker, this is the People's House, and we represent the interests of Nigerians.
For the House to suspend the increase in the fuel by NNPC, pending their appearance to this hallowed committee.
Okay, let me put it to question. Those in support that will stop the price increase subject to investigation say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. Nay. The nays have it.
The National Economic Council has received the report of the ad hoc committee constituted at its inaugural meeting to report on aggressive measures to be taken to address the effect of the fuel subsidy removal by the federal government. Vice President Kashim Shettima presided over the council meeting. The National Economic Council directs the National Emergency Management Agency and the Central Bank of Nigeria to release food items.
We have some buffer stock that is already there with NEMA, and the Council has directed the states will be allocated immediately substantial portion of food items, grains, and so on and so forth for distribution, so that the prices of foodstuff will come down and it will be given at a subsidized rate or at the rate at which it is acquired from NEMA, because it is free. Of course, CBN also, because of their Anchor Borrower program and the program they had in agriculture, they have a large stock of rice and other grains that are going to make available within 1 week.
Some other measures taken include the implementation of cash award policy, ensuring the payment of outstanding liabilities, and funding of micro, small, and medium enterprises with single-digit interest rate.
The Council also agreed that all the 3 tiers of government must do certain things, must begin to be, responsive to the mood of the nation, to the sufferings of the people, and try to do something to ameliorate the impacts. Obviously, each acting in accordance with its own fiscal space, in accordance with its own capacity to do so.
Reducing costs of governance and implementation of energy transition plan are also part of the recommendations.
But in the meantime, we must transit to that. That is why we are all going to be embarking on that transition from petrol to CNG. We in Ogun State have already started that. And you begin to see other states in the Federation do the same.
Talking about developments, we'll look at in the coming days the first 11, or can we say, the makeup of the people the president will be deploying to superintend over different sectors as he brings his thoughts to bear on the key sectors of the nation's economy. And we are being joined by Honorable Sam Onuigbo, former member representing ECOWAS, Umaya North and South Federal Constituency, and is an advocate of the Climate Change Initiative. He also sponsored the bill in the 9th Assembly. Honorable Onuigbo, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Fisayo.
You've seen all manners of call to service in different sectors, and it looks as if the president's team is shaping up. What are your thoughts as we move towards, even bigger calibrations in terms of the makeup of government and different sectors?
Well, thank you very much indeed. My thoughts are clear and my expectations are really high because I know that the president is a fisher of men, not just all manner of men, but men with competence, with intellect, those who have drive. If you look around him, you will find that some of the people he started with when he was governor are still around and are still contributing. So as he unveils his team, first 11 as we will call it, to help him push the clear direction of his government, we expect that we are going to have a very powerful team, very, very strong team, a robust team that is focused. So as to be able to tackle the challenges that are there, we have no doubt whatsoever that the removal of the fuel subsidy has become a challenge, and it's something that has to be tackled. But it has to be tackled, together in a collaborative form. And what exactly am I referring to? The sub-nationals have their roles to play, because if you look at how much that the federal government, the states and local governments have been sharing in recent months, you would find that even the allocations seem to have doubled. That way, we would like to see a situation where the sub-nationals are doing enough to be able to take charge because they are getting more than they were getting before. And then that proper people are appointed into positions of authority to be able to discharge, because Nigerians are full of expectations. And of course, it's not an easy task that the first subsidy was removed and so many other things are coming together. But once we have the right team, which I have no doubt that Mr. President has assembled and is about to, we'll be able to take these things one by one: employment, removal of fuel subsidies, impact on the economy, and then how to see a way to tackle inflation that is trying to move so fast. So once these things are taken care of, then you will then see a situation where we see investments both in the rich sector and some other sectors. And with that, you have employment for our teeming youth. And once we're able to hold this together, then you see the nation moving in the right direction.
How do we weather this storm? First of all, talking about some of the challenges we are having, especially a lot of people have said, the issues of generating employment must be key. How do we tackle that to give hope, especially to the teeming youth of the nation?
precisely what I referred to just a moment ago, is to ensure that the rate of exchange is stable, to enable people, those who are in manufacturing sectors, to be able to bring in all the materials they need to be able to manufacture. Then to encourage the development of local raw materials so that we do not just put our money together and always continue to export it, so that we don't export away the employment that our people are supposed to get. That is one key aspect. We have to look at the rate of exchange. We have to make sure that we have it in a way that is not too unstable, that is moving up and down. Once you're able to do that, and then you encourage particular sectors, for instance, construction, because I see this government going in to continue with some of the construction efforts that the previous administration made. Construction employs a good number of persons. And then we now deal with these factories where, because of either the cost of diesel or because of other related associated costs, they are going out of business. Then we now have to invest seriously in the small, medium enterprise to be able to hold the people down there, where you discover that in the informal sector, so much is going on, but it's not properly coordinated. Once we have these things in shape, I have no doubt whatsoever that we begin to have a firm handle on how to get the economy to move in the right direction.
All right, we'll take one or two reports. Insecurity is another area that a lot of Nigerians and experts in the sector say need very urgent attention, and the Inspector General of Police has been in Plateau State in the course of the week to look at the problems, especially in the Mangu axis, to reassure the people of course, police determination to put a stop to the incessant skirmishes that have been experienced in that area. And then, of course, we'll return and talk some more, especially in terms of the causative effects of insecurity.
With the traditional rulers, we will work with the government and people of Plateau State. We will work with all stakeholders to ensure that peace returns to Plateau State.
Mishkaha Mwagavul Da John Putman Hirse commended the IGP for making the visit to the state a priority, and that going by his track records, he is confident that peace is in sight not only in Mangu but the entire state and the country at large. Key stakeholders in Mangu local government area expressed their concerns at the level of destruction and pain the people are going through, and urged the police helmsman to do his best to address the situation. The IGP left the people with a commitment to do more, but called on them to desist from taking the law into their hands. The IGP also interacted with traditional rulers, community and religious leaders in the state.
We still have Honorable Onugbo with us in the studio. You sponsored the bill, the Climate Act, and of course, you have mentioned that there is a linkage between the certification, the challenges, in the northern parts of the nation, and some of the problems that we've had in terms of, in some cases, forced migration as a result of scarce resources. Can you do that linkage? Perhaps rehash it to give us a sense of what we are seeing, which has turned to a perennial push and shove amongst the inhabitants of those regions.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's there like an open book right now. The impact of global climate change is something that is not disguised anymore. Let me even move a little bit outside of our shores. In the last 2-3 days, anyone who followed reports across the world, even when John Kerry traveled to China, because this is something that requires the collaborative effort of all the developed economies as well as the developing ones. So because the global emitters, the highest emitters, China, United States, and the other people like India and Brazil, they right now are feeling the impact. So there's no pretense about what climate change has done. And down here, you discover that within the Sahel region, of which our country is part of, we have about 11 states that are directly impacted by drought, desertification, and of course, this has resulted in forced migration. Of course, we're also talking about, Lake Chad and it's drying up. So when you add this up, we're talking about causative effects. When you add this up, you discover that people who previously resided in those areas and were actually finding ways of surviving through, subsistence farming and all that, the whole area has turned into dust right now. No one can farm there. Therefore, these people are forced to move. Whether you're doing animal husbandry or you are doing farming or those who were fishing previously around Lake Chad, everyone is trooping to an area where they think they can find their livelihood means. However, when you move to those areas, you are likely to clash with those who are inhabitants, who are there already, traditional occupants of the area. And oftentimes, it does not end well. That's why you see the herders and farmers clashes. And what that has led to is serious security challenge. And it should not surprise anybody that we have had serious issues within the Northeast, Northwest, and the whole thing is pushing down to the southern part of the country. So for the security agencies, they need to have a firm hold on that. But we have to assist them by finding sustainable, approaches towards checking the devastating effects of climate change. Once we're able to do this, keep people in employment, allow them to remain within their areas where they are used to. We don't see a situation where people are pushing down and then clashing with farmers, destroying their crops, and causing a lot of security problems for the nation. So this is something that is bare, is out there for us to tackle. And we need to face it squarely because around the world, the impact of climate change is so strong, so severe, and it's felt everywhere. Nobody's talking about warning signs. They are all there.
All right, moving on very quickly. We'll take other reports around, the corridors of politics, including the Independent National Electoral Commission, in the course of a week, re-examining its activities in the course of the 2023 general elections and scoring itself with a view to perhaps also improving on its operations as the off-cycle elections in November, especially the governorship elections in Imo, Bayelsa, and Kogi, draw ever closer.
The post-election review of the 2023 general election by INEC is commencing, with meeting all the electoral officers and transport unions that participated in the exercise. They are considered critical stakeholders in the electoral process. They are undertaking a holistic review of the 2023 general election with a view to addressing lessons learned in the conduct of 2023 polls and recommendations for future elections. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu believes that the 2023 general election was a success owing to some innovations in technology, and for the first time, national elections were not postponed.
We can conduct a review of the elections without involving those who made the election tick. And through your hard work and the support of the Commission, for the first time in the last 4 electoral cycles, presidential and National Assembly elections were not postponed even for 1 hour.
In their usual style and in the late hours, APC governors converged on the Imo State Governors Lodge for a closed-door meeting that lasted about 4 hours. At the end, the governors came out with a scorecard of the immediate past national chairman and national secretary of APC, who voluntarily resigned.
We commended the wisdom in what they have done, and they served us well in the party. We are happy with their services, and The party is united. There's no crisis in the party. They are happy. We also are happy. So we are in support of their actions, and we will continue to commend and respect and recognize the services they have rendered to our great party.
They also deliberated on how to utilize resources to cushion the effects of fuel subsidy removal and promote economic growth.
All right, before we go, Honorable Onegbu is still here. You are a stakeholder. You were part of, the committees that interacted with the election management body in terms of giving us, the electoral law for 2022. So now looking at, what happened a couple of months ago in terms of, elections and an off-cycle election that we're also expecting to, in November. What are your words at this time? Where should we clean up our acts, and what are your expectations as far as those elections are concerned?
Well, thank you very much. It's heartwarming, actually, that INEC called together those critical parts, that help them to deliver in an election. For instance, I'm sure it must have surprised some people that transporters were invited, but these are people who play roles. So I would really expect INEC to look through their performance during the 2023 elections that we had a few months back. And then from there, locate where maybe we did not get it exactly right, so as to, tie it together and make sure that such loophole does not exist. Usually, the off-cycle election is an opportunity for INEC to be able to either test, one system or correct an error that was dictated during the general election. So as we move into these elections now that are coming up in the next few months, I would like to urge INEC to do those things that have the potential to renew, that confidence that people usually have when they are coming out to vote, so that they don't have anything to make them say, oh no, the result was not properly, either collected or concluded. Because few elections, when we had elections in Anambra, Ondo, Edo, and Osun states, they helped us to look at the law that we were able to pass and to see whether there was any gap. This review that they have done is enough for them to be able to point out whether they need any aspect of the law to be amended or to be strengthened. So I want to wish them well and pray that we continue to improve, because election is the only legal way through which you renew the mandate of someone who is occupying an office, or through which you recruit new people legally without having a gun, being shot as when you overthrow government.
Thank you very much. No gunshot, but of course you are able to fire your salvos in terms of national development. Honorable, thank you for this opportunity, and of course always lending your wealth of knowledge. I would have asked you a few more questions. Time is not our friend. The last time we spoke, there were two people at the helm of your party. They have stepped out now. Senator Abdullahi Adamu stepped in 2022, stepped out in 2023. The issues of party politics, we'll be probably talking about that in future shows. My name is Fisai Ogunfui. Thanking you for being a part of Political Update for this week. We'll be back again on Tuesday for a brighter package. But between now and then, we urge you to play your politics for the greater good. Bye-bye now.